You know what's wild? I really thought I had life all figured out by the time I hit 30. I'm Natalie. And while most women my age are either spiraling over being single or settling for the next guy who flashes a ring, I wasn't worried. I had my safety net, Evan. Yeah, Evan and I broke up 5 years ago when he took a job in Denver and I stayed back in Austin. But let's be honest. That wasn't a real breakup. That was logistics, timing, circumstance. We'd spent 4 incredible years together. He treated me like I was the center of the universe. He paid attention, made plans, took care of me in ways I didn't even realize I needed. You don't just toss that kind of connection over geography. Even after we split, we stayed close. Not in a messy, unresolved exes kind of way. More like two people who never really stopped caring. Evan would check in, ask about my day, get a little protective when I mentioned dating someone new. He'd send funny memes or vent about work, and I'd do the same. We kept that thread between us taut but unspoken. Like a door we both knew was still cracked open. And yeah, I played the long game. I'd send a carefully selected selfie now and then, talk about my weekend plans in ways that reminded him of how full and fun my life was. But always with a subtle message that I wasn't completely moved on. Why would I be? What Evan and I had wasn't something you just replace with a random guy from a dating app. Tried though. Dated. I even had one serious relationship for about a year, but it was a joke in hindsight. That guy was allergic to effort. Wanted to split the check on every dinner. Couldn't plan a surprise to save his life. Evan used to book spontaneous weekend getaways and pull out my favorite wine after a bad day, without me having to say a word. The contrast was glaring. When that relationship fizzled, I wasn't crushed. Honestly, it only reinforced what I already knew. Evan was my standard, and no one else had come close. So I stayed patient. I figured at some point the universe would bring us back together. Maybe I'd land a job in Denver. Maybe he'd return to Austin. Didn't matter how, we'd find our way back eventually. Evan's always been an overthinker. I figured he'd built up this story in his head about how long distance would ruin us, when really we just needed time. The years apart gave us space to grow, and he knew I was still part of his orbit. He was always one of the first to watch my Instagram stories. Every single for 5 years. That's not nothing. Then last December everything shifted. He started mentioning a new girl. Her name was Marley. Said she was sweet. Different. I wasn't fazed. Evan had dated other girls before. They never lasted. They were placeholders. People you talk about when you're trying to convince yourself you're moving on. But then came January. I was on my lunch break, aimlessly scrolling. Evan's profile popped up. His story had that bright rainbow ring. I clicked like muscle memory. And there she was. Marley. In his kitchen. I recognized the granite countertops instantly. The ones he picked out when he first moved into that apartment. She was there in his t-shirt, making pancakes like she'd been doing it every Sunday. And she tagged the location as home. I took screenshots. I needed to see exactly what I was dealing with. She was attractive, I'll give her that. But in that predictable, Instagram-filtered kind of way. Blonde. Blim. The whole every girl from Scottsdale vibe. Not ugly, just unoriginal. Heart-shaped pancakes and motivational quotes. It was like watching a Hallmark movie on a loop. But then Evan reposted her story. That's when it hit me. He never did that with me. I begged him, literally begged, to post pictures of us back when we were together. And he'd always claim he wasn't this social media type. Suddenly, this Marley girl gets the full digital boyfriend treatment after 2 months. I didn't spiral. Not right away. I did what anyone in my position would do. I investigated. Her account was public, of course. Girls like that thrive on attention. I scrolled through her feed. Same curated content. Latte art, mirror selfies, beach shots with cheesy captions about aligning your energy. But then I saw the pictures with Evan. They weren't just posing. They looked happy. Naturally happy. Laughing together, hiking, cooking, hanging out with his friends. Hiking. Evan used to whine about walking to the mailbox. Cooking. I practically had to bribe him to go grocery shopping when we lived together. But there he was in an apron, making pasta like a contestant on Top Chef, smiling, like, different. It was like watching someone else wear his face. I tried to re-establish our rhythm. Started commenting on his posts again. Sent him those inside jokes we used to share. Just little reminders. I'm still here. Still the person who knew you best. But his replies were different. Short, careful, delayed. When I tried to FaceTime, he texted back that he was with friends. Friends. But that's when the reality hit. This wasn't a passing fling. She was becoming something real. I couldn't sit back and let that happen. So I got strategic. I brought up memories. Our trip to Big Bend, that concert we snuck into, the way we used to binge-watch old sitcoms on Sundays. First, he leaned into the nostalgia. We'd text late into the night. But every time we got close, he'd mention her. Marley's never seen Breaking Bad. Or Marley and I tried that new Korean place. Marley. Felt like he was twisting the knife. And maybe he was. Maybe he knew I still cared, and part of him wanted to rub it in. Or maybe he was trying to prove something to himself. Either way, I tried to play it cool. I liked their photos. Left polite comments. I was going to be the graceful, evolved ex. The woman who could clap from the sidelines without letting her heartbreak show. But then Valentine's Day happened. Evan never cared about it before. Used to roll his eyes and say it was a scam holiday. But this year he went all out. Rose petals, candles, a 5-course dinner. And the caption. Asterisk, for the woman who brings light to every day. Asterisk. I stared at my screen, stunned. Light. I was the one who held him together through his worst days. I was the one who supported him through his dad's surgery. His layoffs, his depression. Marley was just the girl who showed up after all the hard parts were over. That's when I stopped pretending. The cool ex routine wasn't working. Evan needed a reminder of what he'd walked away from. So I upped my game, carefully. Photos of me at parties, laughing, glowing. Subtle references to other guys, but never too much. Just enough to stir curiosity. I made sure I looked unbothered, thriving, desired. And I started being more honest in our texts. Told him how rare our connection had been. How I'd grown. How maybe, just maybe, we were finally ready for each other now. But his responses kept shrinking. He started pulling away. Less frequent replies. No more late-night conversations. No more likes on my posts. Then came the day everything collapsed. My best friend, Lena, shoved her phone in my face over lunch. Look at this, she said. Evan had posted a story. Asterisk, 6 months with this incredible woman. Asterisk him and Marley at a candlelit dinner. Smiling like they had the world figured out. 6 months. I hadn't even noticed the time slipping by. I was so focused on us, on staying relevant, that I forgot he was actually building something new. So I made one last move. I sent him a message. Clear. Real. I told him I still believed in us. That what we had was worth another chance. That the timing felt right now. I poured my heart out. Measured but sincere. He replied 3 hours later. Natalie, I'll always care about you. But I'm with Marley now. She makes me really happy. I want to see where this goes. I think we should take some space. For her. And for you. Space. Like the last 5 years had meant nothing. Like the late-night talks, the quiet check-ins. The unspoken promise had all been in my head. I didn't respond right away. I waited 2 days. Then finally typed. I want you to be happy. Take care of yourself. And that was it. No dramatic goodbye. No desperate follow-up. Just silence. And grief. Because it wasn't just about losing Evan. It was losing the story I thought we were still writing. The one where love comes back. Where the bond never breaks. Where timing is just a temporary hurdle. But maybe I'd been holding on to a version of him that didn't exist anymore. And maybe, just maybe, it's time I let that version of me go too.